Hey, welcome to another slow MTG, non-MTG opening. If you haven't already caught it, I busted open a beta box of Sorcery Contested Realm the other day, went through it. But you know what? I've since played the game. Thank you, big shout out to Agora Games in Singapore who taught me how to play the game. So I picked up one of these starter sets and I'll crack it open and we can get straight into it. I want to see what's in here, let you know whether it's worth buying the game. The box set, and show you what you get in it. So basically when you bust it open, hang on, it's I like being tidy about the shrink instead of just like destroying it, but maybe I should. My blade's not very sharp, but anyway, bear with me. Oops. Okay, there we go. Here we go. It's kind of a deck box. We've got couple of things in here. Ooh, we've got a couple of rubble tokens. Now this is used to indicate when some of the characters create rubble on sites. I'll talk to you more about rubble in a bit. Got one pack of beta. So I've seen people crack some curios and some really fun stuff in there. Not seen, but I've heard of. We've got 4 decks here, which I'll cover in a moment. I've got a couple of other fun pieces. I guess this can be, I'm gonna get rid of that. The storage box for treat it like a board game. You can sleeve up your cards and then shove them back in here, I think, so that you can have a board game experience ready to go. A couple of things. You've got a rule book. This harks back to Magic the Gathering. Let me turn on the light. Yep, Magic the Gathering, where you actually had a physical rule book that taught you how to play the game. Now this is not too bad. I opened one of the starter kits recently and the Magic rule book was so thick. Now this is much less. Okay, let me quickly explain a couple of things before I get straight into pack cracking. Oh, so apart from rubble, you've got some tokens, which I'll show you in a bit. Now these are used to indicate the effect of some of the cards. They're really tiny, so a bit fiddly, but they're cute. So some cards that you create, foot soldiers, they're essentially like 1 power toughness type creatures. Lots of foot soldiers. You got frogs. Submerged is another mechanic I'll talk through. Burned and flooded. So basically in this game, the way it works is everyone, there are 4 different elements. That's why it's called, well, actually I'm not even sure why. It's called Contested Realm, but this deck says the 4 elements. So they're essentially fire, earth, wind, water. They're a little bit hard to see, but there are element symbols here. Let me get, yeah. They don't really say what they are, but let me just crack into them. I guess this is fire. Let's look at what the symbol might be like. And then I'll talk you through the game. So at the back it says, unleash the desire and destruction of fire. Contains starter deck for single player, 1 avatar, 16 atlas, and 36 spellbook cards. So it's 46. Yeah, it's I don't even know how many cards that is. 30, 40, 52 card deck instead of 60. I'm not sure why they didn't just up it and go up to 60, because a regular sized deck would be 60. You got atlas cards and you have your spellbook. You're supposed to have 20 atlas, which are your lands. I'm going to use Magic the Gathering terminology. I think most of you would be familiar with that, so it would really help me explain the game. Okay, so we've got a bit of a filler here in the box. The reason why is that they've got enough room here, I think, that you could single sleeve these cards and put them back in each of the individual boxes. So that one can just be chucked. That's different compared to, let's say, one of these. I'll show you. Flesh and Blood pre-constructed decks. You see, it's so tiny. I guess it's great for the planet, great for shipping, but this is bad. When you leave this up, you know, you need a new box and deck for it. Anyway, get out of here. Not doing Flesh and Blood today. Okay, we're doing Sorcery Contested Realm. Let's get into it. Now, what happens is decks look something like this. Everyone starts with what they call an avatar. An avatar is essentially indicates who you are. And if you see here, you start with 20 life and you have attack value here. So what happens, the object of the game is to reduce your opponent's avatar firstly to 0 or below 0. And then we'll put them in Death's Door. And once they're at Death's Door, you need to hit them at another time, one more time before they lose the game. There are cases where you can win through decking out, but I haven't seen it happen yet. It's pretty rare. So in this case, each of the avatars The game is played, sorry, on a 5x4 grid. Your opponent faces off for you. It's an equal symmetrical grid, and you start right at the bottom. I don't have a playmat here. I should pick one up. They make a pretty big-ass playmat here so that you know where the grids are. And you start your avatar at the bottom center of the 5 grid. Now, this one says tap, play, or draw a site, or tap, banish all your dead fire minions, shoot a projectile, deals damage equal to the sum of this. This is the fire symbol. So I will talk about things in a moment. So on your turn, it's pretty simple compared to Magic. You draw a hand of, where do I start? Okay, let me just take a step back. If you notice, there are 2 types of cards. You've got Spellbook, which are your spells. These are your creatures, your equipment, your spells, which we'll go through in a moment, and your Atlas, which are lands. Your lands, it's a bit like Hearthstone. Every turn, if you want, you can choose to play out a land, and that will give you enough mana to cast stuff. First, each turn, generally you can play 1 unless there's some events that circumvent it and let you ramp. But you play 1 land, and that gives you 1 mana to cast something. And the second time you play another land, it's 2 mana, 3 mana, 4 mana, 5 mana. So during your turn, you draw a card. At the start of your turn, you can choose to draw from 2 separate decks, either your Atlas deck or your Spellbook. And then you have your main one and only phase. In your phase, you can cast spells, you can move, you can attack, and that's it. So now let's look at the breakdown of one of these Atlases. These are lands. So if you notice, the rarities of the cards, they're broken down into ordinaries. I think these are all ordinaries. Exceptionals and elites. Okay, ordinaries are just your commons, exceptionals and your uncommons. Elites are your rares, and uniques are your mythic rares. So it'll say on the card, there's no symbol to determine that, except you have to look here. It's a unique relic, that's unique. And if you see over here, a unique site, exceptional site. So the precons probably won't have too many uniques in them and a few exceptionals. So what happens, this is your land. If you say here, Arid Desert Ordinary Site, it has a symbol here. This indicates fire. These are monocolored decks. And it has an effect. Genesis, deal 1 damage to each minion atop target nearby site. So when this enters the battlefield, it triggers an ability that deals 1 damage to each minion atop target nearby site. Now, what happens is the very first turn of the game, you start at the bottom of the grid, you have to place a land on your avatar. And from there, future turns, you can then develop your mana base or your lands orthogonally. You can only go cardinal directions, north, east, south, west. You can't build a land diagonally. And you have to place a land next to one that was there previously. So if I place one here in the first turn, I can place the second one on the other one here, here, here. Now, why are we placing lands? Now, lands are important so that you can actually move things like your creatures and your avatar across them. So let's look at the breakdown of creature. The reason why you want to move is that if you don't place a land, it's considered void. Most creatures, if they go into an empty space or they will be forced in there, or if you choose to move them there, I don't know why, they would immediately die. Now, so you want to develop your base so they can move around the board. Now, moving is important because it allows you to reach your opponent's avatar to hit them, although there are spells that allow you to do range damage or direct damage, and also allows you to move to hit other units. Now, here's what a typical unit looks like. If you see here, this is the casting cost. So I need 6 mana to cast it. So this is obviously one of the higher drops. Oh, this is an elite. This is rare. And there are some symbols here. You need to meet the threshold cost. Meaning this is, if you see here, you need 3 triangles of fire symbols. If I only have 1 land, if I only have 1 land with, let's say I might have 6 lands, but only 1 of these fire symbols, I don't meet the threshold here and I can't cast this spell. I need to have 6 mana as well as 3 symbols before I can cast this. Pretty straightforward, right? So when I cast it, it can be placed on top of any land that I own. Don't forget that in parallel, your opponent, which may or may not be your friend, on the other side of the board will be developing their own lands as well. Now, what happens is you can summon a unit only on top of lands that you own, the ones facing your opponent. Yeah, so you summon them on any site. There are some restrictions which I might go to if I see some of them. But anyway, you do that, and then sometimes they have an effect when they ETB. This one says at the end of your turn, deal 3 damage to each other adjacent unit. Adjacency is the cardinal directions. So that's it. So this is Infernal Legion. There are classes that matter. Some that might be mortals. There are some type effects that affect specific creature types. And what happens? What else? So movement. On your turn, there is summoning sickness for each of your summon units unless it says there's charge, which is the equivalent of Magic Gathering's haste. Let's see if I can find one that says charge. Nope. Anyway, so what happens is if you don't have charge, they come to the battlefield. There might be a triggered effect that happens. If there isn't, they just remain there. Subsequent turns, they can move. Now, they're not allowed to move. They can only move orthogonally, up, down, left, right. They can't move diagonally unless something says airborne, which you saw here. Airborne creatures can move diagonally, and they can only be blocked by airborne creatures. Now, movement is such that when you move into a space, you always move, and then you have the ability to stop or move and attack. So when you move, you tap. You can want to indicate that that's the action taken, even if you move and attack. So if you move into a space, let's say my opponent has this, I move, I tap, I attack. Now, the way attack works is that you look at the power and toughness. This deals 6 damage to this, deals 3 damage to this dies, this survives. Damage gets healed at the end of turn. Now, I'm new to the game, so if I make any mistakes, please correct me. There's a helpful rule book here as well. So it's still new, so there are still things that people are working on in terms of timing. There aren't really instants. Most things work at sorcery speed. So you move, attack, and subsequently, similar to war games, when you move out of a space where you're occupying with an enemy, they have the chance to attack you and then try to hit you. What else do I need to tell you about combat? Move, attack. Now, if there are 2 enemy units at a square, you move, you can choose to attack one. The enemy can choose to have any other units in the same square support the attack as well. So yeah, you combine your attacks. All right, let's quickly look at the creatures. So you got the avatar. Most of the time, the avatar can move and attack and do stuff, or you can tap him to play or draw a side. So an avatar can either draw more cards, an additional card per turn, because don't forget you draw one at the start of the turn from your either Atlas or Spellbook, or you can play a side. Yep. So on your turn, you can take any number of actions that you're legally allowed to take. So your main phase, you can cast spells, activate ability, use a basic ability, move, attack, or interact with artifact, and then you keep doing it as many times. Then you move to your end step, and then you end your turn, pass it on to your opponent. All right, let's quickly look at the fire deck. So this one deals lots of direct damage. These are all monocolored decks, so you don't have to worry too much about your mana base. But in the future that you decide to upgrade these decks, there are specific lands that are what they call dual lands. I don't know if I have any here, but like this one here. This is called an Aqueduct Exceptional. That's uncommon, but if you notice, there are 2 symbols here. So they cater to 2 different element types. So they are dual lands. I opened 1 box and 6 extra packs, and I only had 4 dual lands. So I don't know, your mileage varies. Okay, I'm digressing a lot. This is overplaced. If you just want to watch the openings, just skip forward or watch me on at 2 speed. Okay, we've got Kaliki Dragonets. Again, you need threshold 3 for 3. At the end of your turn, it shoots a projectile, it deals 1 damage. I think a projectile goes in up, straight, left, right until it hits a target. I need to confirm that, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. So what it does is it shoots something and it deals 1 damage. Projectiles. A projectile moves in cardinal direction. Its flight begins at a caster's unit or another adjacent in the chosen cardinal direction, travels within the same region as the unit, fired it until it can't move any further, it hits the first target that it comes. Yep, so you shoot something. So this is pretty good. Shoot something. 2 Lava Salamander, 2 mana, 1 power toughness. Fire Spellcaster. Take no damage from fire spell, so I guess it's got protection from fire. Raw Dromedary here, we've got a Camel. It's just a vanilla 1 mana for 2. So this is a bit aggro, this deck. There are different ways to play this control, this aggro. There's other more complicated things. Pit Vipers, Burrowing, Lethal. I think lethal is like Death Touch, any damage kills something. Burrowing is interesting. If you remember the lands I mentioned from your Atlas earlier, there are actually two levels of planes. There's something on top, there's something on the bottom. Burrowing creatures can burrow underneath. There are also cards that borrow things, like borrow your equipment, and you can't unborrow them unless you have a borrow effect. I'm going to say borrow a lot, but borrowing creatures, the reason for that is also because there's some equipment that I want to see if I can find it. There's generally equipment like this, a relic is attached to your avatar, but there are things that you can drop. Where we go? Yeah, unique armor, for example. The bearer has movement +7. That's really strong. 7 league boots. So what you can do is you can drop stuff and then someone else can pick it up as an action. So that's but if you drop an item in a burrow, only creatures like this with borrow can actually go down underground to pick up the stuff that has been borrowed there, if that makes any sense. Alright, so let's see what the rulebook says about borrow. This unit can be safely summoned to, and so they start borrowed, exist, and operate normally underground. When taking a step, you can move from the surface of a land to underground and vice versa. So if I start borrowed, it means that I need to spend my turn unborrowing before I can move around. Or I can move around borrowed and pop up and surprise the enemies. I got Rhythm Nomads. It's movement +1, so most times you can only move 1 square. This one moves +2. Reminds me a bit of Dune, like Dune. Sacred Scarabs, 2 for 1, 2 mana, 1 toughness. Death Right means when it dies, it deals 3 damage to each unit. So yeah, if you attack something, you might want to leave it because it only chips away at 1 damage. Oh, the other way to, one thing I forgot, dealing damage to the opponent's avatar, given that you start at opposite ends on the grid, forced 3 squares away. The way to deal damage is to your opponent's avatar is either attacking them directly through range damage or being on the same square and attacking them, or you can attack one of your sites. So there is a bit of tension there where you're trying to develop your lands, but by doing so, you allow access for attacks. So if I attack a undefended opponent's Atlas square for, let's say, 1 damage, the avatar will take 1 damage. But to deal the final blow, once you're at death's door, you have to actually hit them either with direct damage, like a projectile, or you have to be on the same square as them, if that makes sense. So I've got Wayfaring Pilgrim. Whenever ET enters each corner of the realm for the first time, you may draw a card. So he's about exploring the corner. Corners takes a while to get there. And you'll see some games people are just moving around constantly. There are ways to teleport for certain types of classes, but there's some things where you have a kind of a Voltron where you suit up your avatar and he goes around and bashes. Sometimes the avatars are sneaky and cunning, they move around. So it's quite cleverly done that way. Got Ogre Goons. Oh, look at the art. Jeff Menges, OG MTG artist. It's just a vanilla 3 for 3. I guess it's like your grey ogre in a way. Quarrelsome Kobolds, 3 for 2. At the end of your turn, Quarrelsome Kobolds strike themselves or another target adjacent unit. So this is kind of like a very, very red type of spell. It's, yeah, not very great, but it does give you an extra attack. Got Clamor of the Harpies, Airborne, Genesis. Genesis is an ETB effect. Teleport target weaker minion to this location. You can pull something, I guess the Call of the Sirens, and then it may strike it. So that's good. Really good ability. This is exceptional. It's a rare. Got a Charge, which is haste. 4 for 3. Sandworm, Borrowing Landbound. Landbound, I can't remember what Landbound is, but hey, get the set. There you can scan the QR code here to download the set of the rules, but this is pretty helpful. It has a glossary at the back that explains all the terms, like Landbound. Ooh, it doesn't actually mention Landbound. Guys, X-Bound. This card is disabled when not a location that meets the requirements. For example, a Waterbound card is disabled when not occupying a water site. So Landbound, it's on any, I guess, regular lands. Got 2 of these. I guess it's like a desert worm. We see here. Sarlacc Beast. Basilisk. Other minions at rest here or 1 step in front of the Basilisk. I guess you get frozen. Got Elite. You got a 5 mana for power toughness. I think 4 is a sweet spot. Anything bigger is good too. 4 is really hard. Late game, early game, it's very hard to take out 4. Some decks are just not equipped to deal with 4 toughness. Okay, if we would take damage from a fire spell ability against +1 power this turn, good against the mirror. Assylian Cyclops, this is 6. Love this art. Look at this. Gadu Duaso. Nice. Doesn't strike back when defending. I guess it's more aggressive, but I don't know why it doesn't hit back. Wildfire is cool. This is like a spell, an effect. You've mostly seen creatures now. This conjures on the top a single site nearby, attached to, yeah. What is nearby? I think nearby is you choose one square. That refers to squares, own square, and all squares that surround it and include those diagonally. So if I'm in the center, the 9, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 squares around me is considered nearby. At the end of each turn, each unit here takes 3 damage, then move Wildfire to an adjacent location. As in visited before, and none remain, dispel Wildfire. Very clever card. Firebolts, I guess this is like Magic Missile. Jab easily, another OG TSR D&D artist. Shoot 3 projectiles in the same direction one at a time. Each deals 1 damage. So you could like kill, or damage. Fireball, shoot an projectile. It deals 4 damage on impact and 2 damage to each other unit at a location. So pretty good. That's exceptional. This one is draw a card, then give an ally movement +1. So you might want to cast this and then something can move 2 spaces. This time, give an ally movement +2. It can be intercepted, leaves a trail of fire at departed locations. When it stops along each unit, yeah, I guess it's more damage along the way. Heat Ray, shoot a piercing projectile, deal 2 damage to 1 unit at each location along its path. Minor Explosion, boom, deal 3 damage to each unit at target location up to 2 steps away. Got 2 of those. You got Incinerate, deal 4 damage to each other unit at target location near the caster or an allied dragon. Near is, I think, near is just next door, I think. Near. I guess it should really say nearby. Yeah. Cone of Flame, this is fun. Now you see, because of the grid, they show you an example of how it works. Choose a direction from the caster, deal damage to each unit at a location in AoE. So if I'm here and I spread out the Cone of Flame, the thing right in front of me takes 5, and then as it fans out in this triangle wave shape, yeah, the damage weakens. And same here, target a location up to 2 steps away, deal damage to each unit at locations that area of effect. So if I target the square, let's say I'm just below here, target here, it does 7 damage there, and then the rest around. So that's the spellbook. You have 36, but in a proper game there'll be 40, and there'll be 20 lands. Let's quickly go through the lands. Some of them are the same, lots of the arid deserts, so make sure that you manage to get your threshold. There are some vanilla sort of lands that don't have any symbols at all, but they generally have some sort of special ability. There are also man lands that deal damage. This is a desert. Deal 1 damage to each minute top target nearby site. So you got 4 of those. You got another desert. Deal 1 damage to each minute top. It's all the same. Deck construction, yes. Generally, uniques, you can have 1. Elites, you have 2, I think. Exceptionals, 3. And then ordinaries, you can have 4. Something like that. There we go. This is an exceptional. Reactivate the Genesis abilities of your nearby desert. This is good later to kind of reactivate them. Right in a strong in a right deck. Mount Vesuvius. 3 threshold, sacrifice Vesuvius. Each unit occupying nearby sites takes 3 damage. Is that 3 mana? Let's see. I think it's mana. I think you need to pay 3 mana if I'm not wrong. Yeah. Oh, this is a threshold. I think once you've hit threshold, you can sacrifice this. You don't even need to pay mana for it. That's cool. And then exceptional site, you may play this site to any corner. So generally, remember, you have to play sites attached to next to one of the existing sites, but this one can be put on any corner. So that's the fire deck for you. It's pretty simple. If you saw, there was kind of like 1 rare and lots of yeah, other rarities. I will go through the water. No, this is Earth, Wind, Water, Fire. I am not sure what this one is. Let's get in. I like that they have plastic on the outside. I guess they don't really need to, but I guess it prevents tampering instead of sealing the deck inside. So Spark Mage, over here it says, let me zoom in here. Special ability is, oh come on, zoom in, focus. Yep. Tap. This is generic. Play or draw a side, tap, target nearby location, deal damage to another random unit there. So I'll just go, this is kind of like, you think lightning bolts are fire mages, but this one is more like spell slinger, a wizard, I guess. If you see a lightning bolt, deal 3 damage to random unit at target location, yeah. So, yeah, this is cool. Direct damage is great because if your opponent's running away, you want to be able to shoot them from range to kill them if you can't catch up with them. Lucky Charm, this is Barrier's controller as whenever you would determine an extra outcome at random, choose one. So this is really good for things that it mitigates the randomness. This is now some of your creatures, you can basically lots of damage. Sling Pixies, Flying, Stone Leopards, Vanilla, Cloud Spirits, Airborne, and with lots of movements. Stealth, I think Stealth, if I'm not wrong, let's check Stealth. Stealth creatures cannot be attacked by Stealth creatures. Let's see. Yep, this unit can be targeted by opponent spells. Oh, it's got like Shroud and Hexproof, cannot be attacked. Enemy units cannot intercept or defend. Stealth is lost forever after the unit does anything other than move or pick up or drop artifacts, or if it deals damage by any means. Or if it deals damage by any means. Yep. Anyway, so Stealth, really good sneaky way to get in. Spectral Stalker. Now this is, remember I mentioned Void Walk. If you go out into space, it allows you to be conjured and also move in and out of spaces where there isn't a land there. Love this art. At the start of your turn, it teleports to the top of a random site or void. It's got Void Walk, so it can survive. Kite Archer. Ranged. Ranged lets you, normally if you attack a creature, you have to move into the space to deal damage. Lets you target a creature and shoot it from one space away. Immediately after performing a ranged attack, it may take a step. So instead of move, shoot, it can shoot and move. This one is exceptional, yep. Ornery is ranged and stealth. Got 2 of those. You got Airborne, flying creature, 2 of those. You got exceptional. If this is above atop a tower, it has +2 power, range, and spellcaster. I guess there would be towers in the mana base. Got exceptional airborne charge, skirmishers, and Mew. During basic movement, it may perform a range strike from any location along their path. This one, roaming monster, can be summoned at any site. Pretty good. Charge. Apprentice Wizard, I like. This gives you a bit of card draw. Spellcaster. Genesis, draw a card. What does Spellcaster mean? So when it enters the battlefield, it draws a card. So that's as simple as that. Does it have Spellcaster? This unit may cast spells. Ooh. So this guy can cast spells and shoot projectiles and everything as well. So instead of your avatar doing the shooting from the lightning bolt, this guy can do that as well. Grandmaster Wizard, this is nice. This is essentially essential recall for 6. So you've got ramp, really strong. Blink, this is what I said. Teleport, an ally teleports to a location, it's nearby, draw a card. I wonder if ally refers to your, ally, a unit including your avatar. So even though it says ally, it's anyone. You got a couple of blinks. You got teleport itself. Teleport an ally to the surface of target site. Surface because, remember borrowing earlier. Summon a random dead minion from your, from your graveyard. Chain Lightning, this is a bit like our OG Chain Lightning from Magic Gathering. It deals 2 damage, and then any number of times you may spend 2 to target a new unit nearby the previous one. So it's only for you to chain. You can't chain it back. Alright, let's look at some of these lands. Pretty powerful. I like it. It's a bit of a rampy pseudo ramp. If it's the only Gothic tower, you control, gain 1. So you get 1 extra mana each turn. Same thing with the Dark Tower. I wonder if they're inspired by Urza lands. There are a couple of them as well. Gain lands. This one says minions can't enter the site on the ground. There's already a minion on top. I guess you're occupying the mountain pass. You shall not pass. You cannot pass. Airborne minions atop here, movement +1. this is a very, very, very good card. It says here, when it enters battlefield, look at your next 3 spells, put them back in any order. So you get to kind of like pseudo, like manipulate a library. Planar Gate. Minions here can traverse the void, gaining a void walk until you leaving it. And the last one, Cloud City. I think each of these decks have one of these where once you hit threshold, you can get an ability from it. Once on your turn, this side may fly to a nearby void. Very good, very good. All right, that's generally the decks in a nutshell. What else? Where's the avatar? Anyway, these are great to just sleeve them out of the box. You can make minor upgrades. I don't think you need to upgrade them to the actual proper deck construction, in the sense that you need 20 Atlas and 16 40 spells, because most likely the game will be over, because these decks are pretty well balanced from what I was told. And what it can do is, the game should be over before you even need to deck out or use up all your lands. When I played with these decks, that was certainly what I experienced. And when I played with some pretty stacked proper precons, I never decked out either. It's quite rare that you deck out unless you're playing maybe control versus control. But there is also a finite 5x4, 20 spots on the ground as well. Generally, you can't build over. Once a land has been occupied by something, it can't be built on top of, unless there is a way to destroy it. Okay, let's go with these ones. We've got Earth, we've got Geomancer. Geomancer is really about card advantage, because, see here, tap, play or draw a site. If you play an Earth site, fill a void adjacent to you with rubble. You saw the rubble earlier. So if you tap and play a site, if you play an Earth site, then a site adjacent to it gets a rubble token. The reason why this rubble token, it doesn't give you any mana. It's like a barren piece of land that's sort of like you're reserving a land, because if you see the second ability, tap, replace an adjacent rubble with the topmost site of your atlas. So later on, you want to be drawing spells, but you still want to develop your mana base so you can cast stuff. You can tap him instead of moving, or tap to draw. You can tap to sort of swap out your rubble that you did earlier. But of course, I think your opponents can build on top of rubble to get rid of it as well. Oh, I love this card, Craterize. Additional cost to cast it, discard a card, destroy target site. That's what I mean about sites getting destroyed, and deal damage to each unit above or below a site in the AoE. You see here, very cool. Genesis, strike each enemy here. This is really cool. 7/6, 7 mana, 6 power toughness. These are big fat giants basically. Occupies 4 locations. Now, most of the time units are put at one location. This one goes right in the center of 4 locations, and it's essentially all there at the same time. You can choose to strike whoever when it attacks, whichever one of those 4 squares, then you need to move into it. Wild Boars, pretty basic, but pretty hits hard. 1 mana, 2. That's pretty strong. Land Surveyor, when you enter the battlefield, draw a site, so card advantage. Scent Hounds, nearby, make your opponents lose stealth. This one is range. 3 of those. Cave Trolls, it burrows, which I mentioned earlier. Got Purge Butcher, exceptional as immobile. I think immobile means can't move. Tap, shoot a projectile. If it hits unit, drag it to this location. Purge me, fight it, Purge Butcher. So it stands somewhere and goes and brings it forward, and then immobile. This card can be used basic abilities and dropping artifacts, and cannot perform reactions, cannot move itself. So you want to make sure that it's in a good line of sight to do stuff against the opponent. This is on the box of the boosters, booster box. It's just 3 mana 4, well costed creature. 3 for 5. Genesis, fall asleep, is disabled until hurt. Basically, this needs to take damage above the curve. I guess that's the downside. Take damage or be struck before it wakes up. Quite clever. 4 for 2 other nearby allies. This is an anthem. This is really strong. Buffs everything up, but of course it's weak itself. That's their draw. Can only move themselves forward. I'm not sure. Maybe you can move units together, or maybe you can't bring equipment with them. It moves alone. Yeah, I think that would be my interpretation of it. Someone correct me around. This is a good card. Other mortals have +1 power. You control all mortals. Mortals are known here. A unique mortal, triumphant and true, ordinary mortal. So you anthem your models, and then you control all models, meaning you can take control of your opponent's ones as well, or they could do the same to you. Overpower, if it dies, the effect, it's negated. This is a pump spell. This is healing. You gain 7 life. Very strong for 7. Comes back in late game. Yeah, this is, remember the tokens earlier? It says here, for 3 mana, summon a foot soldier to each side control that borders an enemy site. So it's pretty good later on. Bury now. Borrow target minion and artifact if able. So what happens, this is a great way to get rid of things like cores and equipment, relics. Basically, they get borrowed. And you can't retrieve them unless you can unborrow. This is really powerful. And it's only at common. Okay, cave-ins, borrow all minions and artifacts occupying, so it's, yeah, kind of removal as well. Tangle Terrain, they lose airborne and are immobile in last 3. It's like Tangle Wire from Magic, if you remember that. Siege Ballista, basically tap to deal damage. Rolling Boulder, love it. Tap, units here, tap, give Rolling Boulder. Push rolls as far along, so it rolls along and deals 4 damage to each other unit along this path. Trebuchet, tap, discard a card, deal damage, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, lots of range damage. And then you've got, this one focuses on being able to pay 1 mana to summon foot soldiers, so you get weenies at the front. So first turn, generally not much to do. You can just pay 1 from it to create a 1/1 token. Range units have +1 range here, so it shoots a bit further. Yep, make stuff immobile to the Quagmire. Cannot be moved. It's locked there. Bedrock, the foundation of things. This one is good. Heals allies 3 life, and then you can sack this to destroy a nearby site. So Sinkhole, familiar Magic Gathering, also a Sinkhole, destroy target land. All right, I'm coming to the last deck, and then we'll break open this to see if we get a foil. Now foils are great because they are really quite beautiful. I will show you one as a quick break here. Here's a foil. The foils are sort of like, you get between, I think, about 9 foils a box. So they're a bit like the old school Magic Gathering cards where foils are not one every pack. So there is some excitement to open them. They're very shiny. They have a full art back. It's like a combination of full art cards and lands. And they have this beautiful raised foiling. So you can see it's embossed, I think. And of course the shininess. So foils, hard to hit unique foils. If you do hit one, boom, you're in business. Some of the foils are actually big money. Alpha foils are going to be crazy. Oh, damn, I made a mess. Okay, let me come to the last deck, which is Wave Shaper. This one is about water, so I haven't really played against this one yet. I tried, I think, 3 of the 4 elements. This one says, it's got something with flooding. So it says here, tap, you can play or draw a site. Of course, tap to flood the site near your body of water until you do so again. Tap minions without submerge that they don't untap. Basically, if you flood a site, anyone without, oops, sorry, not my, anyone without submerge, the ability, without submerge, oh, sorry, I'm just trying to think. Tap minions without submerge there. So if you have submerge, they're fine, but if you don't have submerge, they sort of get stunned. A bit like Magic Gathering, where stunned, they can't move. So submerge is here. Yeah, so tap surface to strike each other unit nearby. So let's see what submerge says. This unit can be safely summoned to exist in and operate normally underwater. I guess it's like burrow, but it needs to be on a water site. When taking a step, it can move from the surface of a water site to the underwater level there, or vice versa. Okay, so we got Diluvian Kraken. I got Anui Undine, so submerge, it has +1 for each site in her body of water. Submerge Waterbound, you saw Landbound earlier. To those, can only move themselves sideways instead of sedge crouch. This is funny, they only go sideways. So I guess they just go left, right, left, right, left, right. Swamp Buffalo, Porcupine Pufferfish Lethal, that's Death Touch, I think. Tide Maid, submerge, this site is flooded. It is a water site, so it's like spreading seas. You turn something into an island. Swan Maidens, airborne, submerge. Polar bears can move as if it were the top and bottom edges of realm were connected. This is actually, I guess, pays homage to the North and South poles, but technically polar bears only live in the North, and penguins live in the South, so that's a bit slightly unthematic. Go figure. Go, got Submerged, 2 Coral Kelpies by Melissa Benson, OG artist. Look at this Brodingnag Bullfrog. Genesis, it swallows another target minion here, carries it disabled in its belly until it leaves the realm. Ooh, Jesus, that's sick. Deep Sea Mermaid, Submerge Genesis, draw a bottommost spell. Guile Siren, Submerge, start your turn, force target nearby minions, take a step towards, so it pulls them forward. We saw Siren earlier. The first time, Tufted Turtles would be, prevent damage. You got Waterbound, it can only travel on water. Hydras, immune to non-lethal damage. So, Sunken Treasure, it's a relic. If cast, conjure this under an allied water site of an opponent's choice. When it's carried to the surface, it's, you second and draw 2 cards. Flood. Now, so this is like an enchantment, calls an aura. Affected sites are flooded, they're water sites, so you kind of flood a specific site and turn them into water. So people, you can't really go into it. You kind of trap people off or stun people there and trap them there. Whenever a minion enters an affected water site, submerge and return its curse to an owner's site. So it's an aura as well. Repeatable submerge. Riptide, target water site pulls in and above ground units adjacent to, draw a card. So you want to spread out and pull people in. Drown, submerge target. This is really good. It's a removal. So like what you saw with the Burrow Berry. So things are kind of symmetrical in some ways. Ice Lance, shoot a piercing, let's see, projectile, deal 3/2/1 along 3 units on its path. It's a pretty strong card. Each ally heals an amount of equal to the number of sites in its body of water. So you heal Stormy Seas, submerge all minions, artifacts occupying a water site. Flood all sites adjacent to the body of water this turn, then submerge all minions, artifacts on water. And then, and then you get your lands. Look, this one is about Scry. So you can look at next spell and put it at the bottom. So it's pretty good. It's a deck library and manipulation. Even though they're all different names, they have the same ability, functionally identical. Then these are, here we go. Genesis, staying within this body of water, move target unit 1 step. Well, I guess the body of water starts to build out, right? Once per turn, you may flood an adjacent site this turn. So, this is good. You start spreading and getting the flood to spread out. This is unique. At the start of your turn, you may pull in each minion in this body of water 1 step. Love the art. Maelstrom. Wow. And wow, look at this. Threshold 8 may transform. They have manlands as well. This is a manland. May transform the monster. Place flooded rubble. So it floods flooded rubble token underneath and it becomes an 8 creature. But for threshold. That's cool. Okay, there you have it. We've got Sorcery Explained. I know this has been a long video and I don't really use graphics because I'm a lazy bum, but I'm hoping that gives you some insight into how to play the game. If you want more Sorcery content, please let me know and I will do more. Gameplay, there are tons of other creators making gameplay videos. I did rules and openings. That's my jam. And okay, and reviews. So I'm going to open my single booster pack. Let's see if I get a foil in this. Now, there's been a lot of interest in the game, so much so that the prices have gone up in and around the world. Distributors here are limiting quantities to stores, and in the US, TCG prices are above what, quite well above what they would normally go for, or what they retailed for previously. Okay, so I think like some Japanese Magic cards, you have the rares at the front, so exceptional. They're also curios. Curios, you need to know what they are. They look like normal cards. There's some sketch cards, and they're also normal cards where something's different. It might say an ordinary something, but there might be a single change of the word. That's a curio. The whole idea behind that is for players to not just quickly throw away the chaff and go straight for the rares and mythics, but to carefully examine every single card. And a full list hasn't been released yet. People are just reporting in Discord on what they've seen. So anyway, here we got Battering Ram. It's exceptional. It's uncommon. Unit here have tap equals destroy target adjacent to wall. This is element agnostic. And here we have another element. I don't know what element this one is. Hey, quick suggestion to the Developers of the game, Sorcery, maybe you want to put an icon here or big icon on the box to indicate what element it is. I know once you get used to it, you would know, but when newbies like this, you know, this is water and it's not entirely intuitive and it's really small. And for people who are slightly colorblind, vision deficiencies like myself, slightly colorblind, it's really hard to tell what the elements are, especially when the icons are tiny. Maybe there's a way for icons on the sides to be a little bit larger. Just some feedback there. Okay, here we go. Exceptional Magic Search. This is a tutor. Search your spellbook for an exceptional mortal. Tutor for an exceptional mortal. Reveal it, put in your hand for 2. There is a ordinary tutor at ordinary. So you tutor for another ordinary card. It's pretty cool to have like a demonic tutor at common. Here we got Watchtower. Exceptional sight. Enemy units atop permanently lose stealth. I think we saw that. And then the unique is... Nope, it's an elite, not unique. Unique. Purge Juggernaut. An elite automaton of ceaseless slaughter. Start of the turn, it taps and moves to an adjacent location, kills all minions there. Again, this is agnostic to any element. And then we've got some commons. Ordinary Convoy has all elements and minion types. Blink, which we saw earlier. Grapple Shot. This is a very good card at Ordinary. Grapple Shot is a... Shit, sorry, I keep pulling my chair keeps knocking my tripod. But what happens? Grapple Shot lets you shoot a projectile if it hits a unit, the ally that is dragged to that location and may strike the hit when it arrives. So basically you can use this if something's in line of sight and run straight to it and hit it. Grapple Shot's cool. Blood Ravens, Airborne, it's a creature. Love the art. Blizzard, affected sites can't be attacked or intercepted at the start of your turn. Dispel Blizzard. We saw this earlier. Extinguish, banish all fire minions and fire auras occupying target site up to 2 steps away. I don't think there's a foil. Men of Leng, Drew Tucker, OG. When Men of Leng strike an avatar, that avatar discards random cards. So it's a bit like Hypnotic Spectre. Very cool. It's got no invasion though. Got Sirocco Scorpions, 2 mana, 2/2 with Death Touch. And then we saw Sandworm, and generally there's one of these sites per turn or recite. So nothing super special, no curios or anything like that. Yeah, there you have it. You've seen the opening. Hope you like it. If you do like Sorcery, let me know your thoughts on the game. And yeah, I hope you can find copies at your local game store. Otherwise, it's been fun opening this. And all the best. Take care. Bye.